All right, so here's another note-taking method. It's not really a note-taking method, it's kind of an organizational tool that personally I uh, think everybody should use. Maybe not for note-taking for research papers, but for keeping track of sources. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in and show you what this looks like. So this is my Diigo, and basically these are all articles that I've encountered online that I have saved for possibly to use later. In some of these cases, I have highlighted material. So you can see here, I've highlighted material from them. If I go forward, let's see if I can, well, I'll give you an example. And I've tagged them so I can see, okay, well, what are all of the items that I've tagged science fiction, so I can organize um, my articles. So okay, so how would I use this? Let's say I am looking at the New York Times and I have found an article that I want to use or keep track of. Let's go to science and let's say I'm studying this marine monument. Okay, so I have a Chrome web extension for Diigo that puts a little D in my Chrome bar and allows me to save this article. And when I click save, I can then input the tags that I want. And so I can choose recommended tags or I can add my own tags. So let's say that my project is on monuments, right? National monuments, which is what this is. I'm going to save it in that category so that I can retrieve it later. So now you can see these little Diigo tools have shown up. I can highlight material in this article. I can add little annotations as I'm writing. I can flag something. This pulls my tagging up later, and I can edit my bookmark. That's my bookmark of this. And if I had annotations, I could see the list of them there. So let's go create some annotations. Let's say I'm going to highlight this, right? I'm highlighting, here we go. You'll notice that it's showing up over on the right. This is sort of the note-taking feature, right? Because these are your notes. But highlighting text is not really interesting unless you are somehow commenting on that text. So let's go back up here and go to my tool where I am adding my thoughts. Here's what I'm thinking. My advisor will see this. What are my questions? What connections am I making? And you'll see that that also shows up here with this slightly different icon. It's not a highlighted section, but it's a thought that I'm having, right? And so I can also reduce that if I don't want to see it there. And so as I'm highlighting, you'll notice if I have reduced the Diigo tools up here, they're going to show up as I highlight. So I'm going to highlight that, but I'm also going to comment on it right here so that this comment is connected to the item I've highlighted, right? So you can see an item I've highlighted with the comment that I've made about that highlighted item. So if I go back to my Diigo account and refresh, I'm going to go back to my library. So here is that article. So I've got all of the passages that I highlighted and annotated right here. So it is a note-taking tool because these essentially are my notes. The difference between this and, say, Noodle tools is that this doesn't give me any way to organize my notes later so that I can plan my paper, right? So I'm not going to be able to combine these notes with the notes from a different source in any meaningful way. This is just a collection area. So if you do use this for your note-taking, you are going to have to devise a system later to transfer these into some kind of organization to let you plan for your paper, which is why I really recommend you look at the Noodle Tools tutorial and very seriously considering using that, our most highly recommended tool, because it's not just for note-taking, it's also for organization for planning your paper. But Having said that, I can also go back to the article, and when I go back to it, I should be able to see the items that I highlighted. It takes a minute to load because of that, so we'll let that load for a second and come back to it. So I can search my own annotations. I can also look at communities of people who have tagged items using similar subject tags. And I can share this with my advisor. Let's see, what do I have to do? I can, good question, share it with my advisor. But that will be another tutorial because they, I believe, have changed the way you do that. So note that when I went to the tools, the extension is right here. You really need to add this web collector extension to your browser, to Chrome, to make this work. So I can definitely help you with that if you need it. Oops, sorry. And that is Diigo. So please look at the Noodle Tools tutorial before you make any big decisions, but Diigo is a really cool thing just to use and know about, even if you don't do it for this project.